There comes a point during an outing with a woman, whether she is a close acquaintance or a romantic interest, where an unspoken dynamic emerges. She senses a question in the air. Am I the one taking charge, or is he in control? The truth is, women are often drawn to men who exude strength, dominance, and masculinity. So how can you effectively convey that dominant masculine energy? Today, we will explore this topic, and I will outline 5 key traits to help you do just that. 5 effective ways to genuinely express dominant energy while spending time with a woman. Let's face it, this is one of the most appealing traits you can exhibit. When I discuss this topic with friends or clarify it for someone who may not fully understand, here's the key point. Embodying masculinity isn't about conforming to a stereotypical alpha image. It's not solely about appearing tough like a bodybuilder or a biker. I understand that this can be a bit perplexing. I experienced confusion as well when I first encountered this topic, and based on the feedback I receive, many others share the same sentiment, particularly when they observe men with softer facial features. People often hastily categorize them as beta males rather than alpha males. However, the truth is that I've encountered numerous men who appear tough, large, and heavily tattooed. Yet when they are with a woman, they often falter. It's as if they revert to vulnerable boys, shedding tears into their drinks. Therefore, true masculinity extends beyond mere physical appearance. It's not just about appearances, it's about the energy you project. The attitude you present is crucial, particularly in interactions with women. To emphasize this point and create a vivid illustration, consider 2 animals, a kitten and a tiger. Have you ever wondered why the tiger garners more respect? The answer is quite simple. Taming a tiger is significantly more challenging than managing a domestic cat. Similarly, when it comes to women, they are not interested in someone who is easily manageable. They seek the excitement and challenge that comes with a tiger, something that requires patience and effort to master. This raises the question, how can you embody that tiger? We will explore 5 strategies, 5 approaches, and 5 mindsets that you can develop when interacting with women. Keep in mind, these mindsets extend beyond just your dating life. They also demonstrate strength in professional settings, whether interacting with colleagues, clients, or superiors. These attitudes convey a powerful masculine presence that earns respect universally. Now, let's discuss the first characteristic, which is essential, the readiness to walk away. I often emphasize the importance of demonstrating your willingness to disengage. This is a technique my friends and I learned during our college days. We often hosted parties at our apartment, and we had a strategy we referred to as the walk away. Here's how it worked. Early in the evening, if we were engaging with a girl we found attractive, we noticed that our chances of piquing her interest significantly increased if we stepped away from the conversation after a while. It's quite different from the typical approach many men take. Usually, they engage in conversation, everything seems to be going smoothly, and they feel compelled to remain present throughout. They worry that if they take a break, someone else might come along and she could lose interest. However, what we found is truly valuable. If you're enjoying a conversation and you casually say, "Hey, I'm going to meet up with some friends. Talk to you later," and then reach out to her again later, it works wonders. Her interest increases when you demonstrate that you won't be clinging to her throughout the evening. You take on the role of the elusive tiger, making yourself a bit more challenging to capture, and that, my friend, is the key strategy. The idea of stepping back and indicating your willingness to walk away can be executed in various ways. One straightforward approach is to refrain from displaying excessive interest or readily approving of everything she does. You understand what I mean? Many men, particularly in the presence of an attractive woman, often hesitate to express disapproval or boredom. They seem to fear revealing their lack of interest in what she is saying. For instance, if she shares a story that doesn't quite meet your expectations, perhaps discussing cheating in a game, the typical nice guy might respond with, Oh, that's really interesting. If you truly believe her behavior is unacceptable, it's important to address it directly. This demonstrates that you have standards and are not willing to tolerate such actions. It signals that you are prepared to move on if your values do not match. In the dating scene, being willing to walk away is essential. Many men express frustration, saying, "She cancels on me every time I attempt to make plans." She often avoids providing a definitive response, remaining indecisive and saying she'll inform me later. This can be quite frustrating. Don't you agree? However, the key is to demonstrate your readiness to walk away. If you're curious about the impact of this approach, check out the video linked in the description. You might wonder if giving her an ultimatum is the right step. The answer is no. That's not the way to go. Instead, be direct and express that her inconsistency is genuinely unappealing to you. Spending time together was enjoyable, but I have doubts about the potential of this relationship. At this moment, you decide to leave. This could lead to one of two outcomes. She might respond positively, thinking that she wasn't fond of you anyway, which means you've spared yourself some time. Alternatively, she may realize that you aren't tolerating her behavior like others do, and this could prompt her to pursue you. The crucial aspect is consistently demonstrating your willingness to walk away. The next topic I would like to address, which is somewhat related to the previous one, is the importance of establishing boundaries. So, what exactly are boundaries? They are the internal and external guidelines you create for yourself. To illustrate, consider a woman who chooses not to engage in intimate behavior on a first date. It is essential to honor that decision. However, there is an intriguing aspect to this. Establishing that boundary enhances your respect for her. She becomes more appealing because she stands firm and doesn't waver based on attraction. Her strong boundary is admirable. As men, we appreciate similar qualities, whether in our interactions with her or in our broader life experiences that impact her. Here's an illustration for you. I keep my phone on Do Not Disturb mode throughout the day since I'm deeply engaged in writing and producing videos like this. Receiving texts or calls disrupts my concentration, as you can imagine. Therefore, I've established this boundary. In a similar situation, a typical nice guy might start to fret that by keeping his phone on Do Not Disturb, he could miss her messages, leading her to lose interest in him. As a result, he might adjust his boundaries to permit her messages to come through. The appealing and straightforward approach. Just be direct. During the day, my phone is set to Do Not Disturb. If I don't respond immediately, I typically check my messages during lunch and will get back to you if necessary. Please don't take it personally. I don't respond to anyone during the day, including you. It's as simple as that. I had a friend named Rico who insisted on a no-shoes policy in his home. Initially, he would feel a bit anxious when a woman visited, wondering if he should allow her to keep her shoes on. He began to assert his boundaries, and surprisingly, this made him more appealing to women. It seems they have a greater respect for those limits than he initially realized. There are various kinds of boundaries one can establish. For instance, there are times in my life when I wake up very early. If you're on a date during such a period, you might say, "I need to get up early tomorrow, so I'll have to end the evening here." This approach avoids prolonging the date unnecessarily. Ultimately, it's about defining those boundaries. Now let's consider the actions of women in this context. I often mention that engaging with single mothers can be an incredibly appealing experience. They establish clear boundaries, prioritize their children, and adhere to certain principles, which tends to attract men. I've witnessed this phenomenon firsthand. Men pursuing single moms because they aren't always the focal point. While not universally true, many women maintain these boundaries and are unlikely to compromise them for a new relationship, which enhances their allure. It's essential to share similar values. For instance, I have friends who are passionate about golf, and every Sunday is dedicated to their golf outings with the group. When they begin a new relationship, they are upfront about their commitments, Sundays are reserved for golf with friends, and it's likely that women will attempt to challenge this routine. For instance, they might say, "This Sunday, my friend is hosting an event. You should come." They want to gauge whether you're willing to forego golf to attend a family gathering or a picnic with her. While it may appear that sacrificing golf demonstrates your strong interest in her, she might initially appreciate it. However, beneath the surface, she could be thinking, "I managed to influence him more easily than I expected." Keep in mind, she is unlikely to be interested in someone who is difficult to manage. Now, let's shift our focus to projecting a masculine presence. It's important to be prepared to say no. I often emphasize that the most appealing word you can use with a woman is no. Allow me to reiterate for clarity. The most captivating word you can say to a woman is no. I've witnessed this dynamic among men, and I'd like to share an experience from my time as a waiter. I worked alongside several young women, which was a great opportunity to meet new people. There was a guy named John, who had quite a reputation. You could exchange shifts, correct? For instance, if I was assigned to work on a Friday night but wanted the evening off, I could ask a colleague to take my place. The women were aware that John had a hard time refusing requests, so they would approach him, flirt a little, and say, "I need someone to cover for me on New Year's Eve. Could you help me out?" John, being his usual self, would respond, "New Year's Eve? I have plans." However, with a little charm and a heartfelt request, he would ultimately agree to take the shift. He believed he was gaining favor, but that wasn't really the case. Conversely, if a woman approached me with the same request, I would firmly decline. "Do you really believe I'm spending New Year's Eve working for you?" Interestingly, even as I decline, my boundaries would earn me greater respect. Declining is the right approach, my friend. Female friends can exhibit this behavior as well. If you have a female friend who has always recognized her influence over you, she will notice when you start dating someone new. Suddenly, she may increase her flirtation and attempt to divert your attention from that new girl. She might suggest, "Why don't we go out tonight?" If you find yourself attracted to your female friend and are not particularly interested in the new girl, you might think, "Oh, she seems jealous. I should take this opportunity to spend time with her instead." However, by doing so, you are playing right into her hands. The true power move is to decline. You can say, "I have plans tonight, but perhaps we can arrange something another time." By asserting a no, you demonstrate confidence in your choices and a sense of comfort in your own energy and masculinity. No amount of flirtation will sway your decision. That is where true strength resides. This situation relates to the concept of favors, you know? Picture this. You're at a bar, enjoying a conversation with a new girl, and she says, "I need to step away for a moment. Can you hold my bag?" Fast forward 20 minutes, and you're still there, awkwardly holding her bag. It's time for a reality check. Just tell her, "I'm not going to hold your bag. I'd love to continue our conversation when you return, but I'm not here to be a bag holder." She will likely appreciate your honesty. I always consider it this way. Would you do the same for your friends? If a friend requested that you hold his umbrella for the entire evening at a bar, you would likely respond with a firm no. However, if an attractive woman made the same request, you might agree, leaving you with her umbrella for the night. Congratulations, you've just become the easily influenced individual. The key takeaway here is to be prepared to decline such requests. Now, let's move on to the next topic. In fact, the next 2 points are closely related, so I will address them together. The first one can be referred to as approval honesty. Yes, let's call it that. It's important to understand that using approval as a strategy to establish rapport is not advisable. During a natural conversation, when the connection is strong and the energy is positive, expressing enthusiasm like saying, "That's amazing," can enhance the interaction. However, many men make a mistake early on. When they go on a date or are getting acquainted with a woman, they often begin by offering excessive approval, believing it will increase their appeal. In truth, this behavior merely signals that you are someone she can easily dominate. You don't need to immediately respond with enthusiastic comments like, "That's awesome that you do that," or "I really like those shoes." Instead, take a moment to relax and adopt a more evaluative stance. Encourage her to elaborate by asking, "Can you tell me more about that?" This approach allows her to invest some effort in impressing you and gaining your approval. This is the strategy to follow. Now, let's delve into the concept of taming a tiger. It's not a quick process. Taming a tiger requires time and dedication. The more effort she invests, the greater respect she will develop for you as a man. Building on this, here's a helpful tip. Avoid the habit of constantly justifying yourself. Picture yourself in a conversation where the subject shifts to her former boyfriend. She might say something like, "My ex was really bothersome, always fixated on football every Sunday, leaving me with no time for him." Then, there's often someone who interjects to assert, "I would never act like that. My ex watched a show and it drove me crazy." The issue with this approach is that it can diminish your perceived worth in her eyes. We often engage in this behavior in different forms, conforming to every opinion she expresses or deliberately highlighting qualities we believe will captivate her, such as claiming, "I enjoy traveling as well. My work schedule is perfectly designed for it," is unnecessary. Why introduce that detail? It's an attempt to gain her approval. The truth is, a confident approach involves allowing her to align with your standards. It's not about dominating her, it's about being steadfast in your true interests. I admire women who remain true to their preferences. I am not looking for someone who pretends to be interested in order to impress me or who cancels their plans for my sake. I seek a woman who has clear boundaries, someone who can assertively say no and who will not tolerate being treated poorly. This is not about control, it's about fostering mutual respect. It's essential to treat yourself in a manner that commands her respect, just as you respect her. One piece of advice I often share with men is the concept of disqualifying oneself. While it may seem like a strategy at times, it is also simply a part of my approach. Imagine this scenario. A woman expresses her frustration, saying she can't handle untidy men, and honestly, she perceives you as somewhat disheveled. In response, I might nonchalantly remark, "You can go ahead and remove me from your list, because I definitely fit the slob category." I'm essentially disqualifying myself right then and there. Now, suppose she embodies a strong feminist perspective, advocating for workplace equality and similar issues, which may not align with your beliefs. In that case, it's best to be straightforward. You could say, "Honestly, I'm quite traditional. I envision a partner who has dinner ready when I return home and is willing to pamper me." It can be seen as disqualifying yourself if that environment doesn't suit her. The nice guy often believes he is removing himself from consideration. However, the truth is that you become significantly more appealing to her. Why is that? Because you are not desperately chasing her approval. You are willing to take the risk of losing her interest. You demonstrate that you have standards and are prepared to walk away if necessary. By asserting your boundaries, saying no when appropriate, and refraining from seeking validation, you embody the true essence of masculinity. If you found this video helpful, please give us a thumbs up and consider sharing it with your single friends who might benefit from this information. Let's be honest, true masculinity isn't about pretending to be tough. It's about your inner self. Additionally, feel free to subscribe and let me know in the comments that you've subscribed and activated the notification bell.